Hello and welcome to All for United. Make sure you smash the subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit like on this video as well. Let's get it over 20 likes at the very least, because if you do that, you're supporting the channel. You're getting this video in the face of other Reds, which is obviously what we all want to do. We want more Man United fans to come and join our dysfunctional community over here, which is also a great place to be in both scenarios, after a win and after a defeat. It's hard to be balanced after a game like last night. So, of course, in a minute, we're going to have to hit on that with Neil and Natalie. But then we're going to get into the preview and look ahead to a big Manchester derby this weekend, and one of the first ones ever without fans. It's going to be absolutely bonkers. Well, saying that, whenever we go to City, it's more or less like playing behind closed doors, isn't it, guys? More or less like playing. Sorry, I had to get that one in there. Bang, right in the gut. Let's start off where we need to. Welcome along to the 3-point preview. Of course, what's the point of doing a preview if we're not talking about getting 3 points, which we're going to be doing on this show in a bit. So get in the live chat as well, because we're live today. But let's start, Neil, just quickly with your reaction to the disappointment of last night. How are you feeling today?
Slightly hungover after last night, to be brutally honest. But I think just appalling, really. Just tactically inept, set up wrong. I think I sent a tweet out just before. I was a bit worried about the lineup and the shape. I think the point you made about the front two was a very valid point. Just the whole system was wrong, and I have no idea why De Gea played when Henderson's just getting a run into the team, just getting to understanding with his centre halves, and then suddenly, you see the confusion over the third goal, where I think Maguire thinks De Gea might be coming for that. I don't know, but we're just tactically inept in Europe, and it's happening too often in the league that we go behind and then we have to come roaring back and all that sort of stuff. It'd just be nice to win something 2-0 and just win it bloody easy and boring every now and then. But we've got talent, but something's clearly amiss.
Guys, can you remember the days when we'd go into a match and we'd know we'd be playing a 4-4-2? Bloody love that. We know what formation we're going to have. We don't need to overcomplicate it. It'll just be a 4-4-2, and we can go out there and people know their jobs. Doesn't matter who's in that team. It could be, Raphael playing right midfield against Arsenal and Fabio on the left of midfield. Doesn't matter who's in that team, but they know their positions because it's the formation we play week in, week out.
Even Anderson would look good in that team last night.
I tell you, it's just bonkers. And you're right. It felt overcomplicated. It felt like no one knew what they were actually doing.
I've never seen it set up before.
We were set up really poorly last night, really poorly, because even we played this. I think the arguments is that we've played this formation before. It's not always just about the formation. It's about what each player is tasked to do within that formation. It's what you're tactically asked to do during the game. And Wan-Bissaka's positioning, to me, in that first half is still like, you can either look at that one or two ways. He's either been set up on purpose to cover a pressing centre-back, so he's coming inside all the time to cover Maguire coming out of defence to press, what's his name, Sabitzer, or whatever his name was, the young tricky kid who I thought was fantastic last night, by the way, to either press him and get the ball off of him early, so Wan-Bissaka comes into cover, leaving that glaring space out on his side, or it's the fact that Wan-Bissaka, his football IQ is just shocking, because surely you make that mistake one time.
I think it's the former. I think Wan-Bissaka's the top player, I think.
I don't think it's because he's not a top player. It's just for me, it's like when you make a mistake, you've got to learn from making that mistake. Wan-Bissaka made that mistake 6 times in the first half. And on the first occasion he was punished. You can't learn from a mistake any more than when you're punished for it. So that's where I'm really confused by his positioning.
Yeah, we don't know what they were told what was the last thing Ole said to them before they went out? I'm pretty certain he said, let's not concede in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then guess what we did? And we were all over the place. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's a right back. He's not a 3-man. You don't play him in a three centre half system. He should be he should have been the wing back, in my opinion, if you're going to play 5 across the middle and try and be defensive, apparently.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. Let me go to a couple of comments first, Nasty, and we'll hear your thoughts. L. Caters, how's it going, guys? All good. Hope you're well. If you're taking lunch with us, by the way, thank you. Keep us on and get involved in the show in the live chat. Mark says, hey, everyone. Big man Neil is back. Yes, he is. Hashtag Neil back. It's a bit like Pog back, but he's actually going to stay with us for a bit. Worldwide Red Show says, hey, Neil. Bougie Vibes or Buggy Vibes is on with us saying if Fred Marshall Cavani was available, we wouldn't have lost that match. Hey, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? But Natalie, what are your thoughts on last night? Your final word?
Shocking, disgraceful, disgusting. I mean, those are the kind of words that you can use for it. I agree with everything that sort of Neil said, in that they didn't look like they knew what they were doing. Yes, we played like that sort of formation, but why not go in with the same sort of, I know the players weren't there, but the same sort of way we played in the second half versus West Ham, the way we played versus Southampton. Why change it all up and put three at the back? And, you know, for me, I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka was decent in those, you know, Premier League games, and then asking him to play centre-back, it's just crazy. And then all the subs that he did, bringing on Shaw, bringing off this, bringing on this, it's just go out for it, attack it. And it's just like we sort of went there thinking, let's just get a draw. Let's, you know, keep it tight. Fair enough, keep it tight. But go out there, score goals, because we're showing that we can do it. You know, only in the last 10 minutes we showed up, you know, last 20 minutes we showed up. We're showing we can score the goals. Why weren't we doing that from the start? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Stuart, I said Pog back, not Pog bad. Pogba was decent last night, which is a shame because of everything that's come out this week. But they even said it last night on the player rating show that he was decent. So no, I said Pog back, not Pog bad. Breakfast for me, bro. In America, everyone's having breakfast. In the UK, everyone's having lunch. Yeah, people just commented on how they're devastated from last night. I suppose I want to hit on one thing before we get into the 3 points of previewing the Manchester derby this weekend. Neil, we keep starting so slowly. Doesn't matter if we're home or away. We feel our way into games, and it's not until like the 60th minute that we actually start to play like a Manchester United team. Can you put your finger on it, Neil?
I'd love to know what we do in the warm-ups, because we just don't look ready. You know, I mean, I used to play at a decent level. We used to be, you know, you'd be flying out the traps, you know, and you'd be set, and we just look so confused. I don't know what they're saying. I'd love to know what they said to them before they went out. You know, and they have all these talks about the tactics, about don't do this, don't do this, do that, and it's like they're talking a different language to the team, because we've got some talented players, and I blame the coaching staff, and it starts at the manager. You've got to take full responsibility for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, there's only so much you can do, but he has to set up the team in the right way, and they're just not communicating. They just don't seem to be communicating. I'm nearly speechless, and that's big for me.
It is so tough, isn't it? Because again, like we come back to it, professional footballers with such, again, Natalie, on that coaching staff, you've got Mike Phelan, you've got Michael Carrick, you know, you've got former professional footballers there who know how to play the game and know how important it is to be ready to go. I mean, we can blame fixture congestion if we really want to, how much time they're getting on the training ground to properly, tactically refine themselves for each and every game. But that's where Sir Alex Ferguson's forward thinking and management of players comes in so handy. And one of Ollie's big positives, I think, is his man management. I think he's a really good man manager. So why are we not? Why are the coaches, but also why are the players not able to get themselves up for it at the start of a game?
$1 million question. I don't know. And, you know, we've watched all these like great players before even Ollie came in, and you think person's a great player. Why can't they do it? Why can't they do it? And then whether it's, you know, people say, like you say, time, I don't think you can blame that. I don't think you can blame anything. I think it's, yes, potentially coaching, but there's been good coaches in there. I think it's maybe even the weight of the badge, the level of the game, and it's if it gets to them, gets in the players' heads. Expectation, can they live up to it? There's loads of little different things, and I think coaching is one. But I just think players as well, they have to take responsibility. And you know, when you go out there, you're playing for Man United, you're playing with that badge on your chest, everyone's watching, and it's like they can't handle it. But I do agree with the thing about, I think Ollie is getting the best out of some players, but then at the same time, other players just look anonymous and don't look as good as what we expect. So it's a weird one that's been happening for a while. And if I knew the answer, we'd be probably sitting top of the league through the Champions League. You know, it's a hard question to answer.
And you'll be manager of the football club, Natalie, which
Yeah.
I'm sure people would take as well. I'm sure people would take it too. Loads of comments coming in. So what we're going to do, guys, get in the live chat, get involved with the 3-point preview. We're going to start with the first point I want to talk about today because despite the comments, and Neil, I know you don't want to talk about Pogba because you've got quite an opinion on him, but I want to hit on the fact that actually the game time he has had against West Ham and last night, he has arguably been one of our better players within those two games. Now, obviously, with everything that's come out, as we know, and I don't want to hit on that particularly and get your thoughts on that particularly, but it's put a negative shine over everything. It's made the Twitter toxic. It's brought a lot of negativity towards the football club with the comments that have been made, and the comments just should not have happened, full stop. But if you're looking on that pitch, we are playing, it's Saturday, isn't it? On Saturday, does Paul Pogba start for you?
No.
Why?
Because he doesn't do enough when we haven't got the ball. Under Ferguson and United have always been really good side. We've always been one of the best teams without the ball. We go back and get it. He can be sometimes anonymous when he hasn't got the ball. Give the ball to him. He's great. Undoubted ability. There's no, not disputing his ability. But we're going to have to be very industrious against this City team because Kevin De Bruyne scares the life out of me because he's just head and shoulders. He'd be player of the season again. He's just magnificent. And I don't think Pogba's the answer when it comes to someone like De Bruyne, and he's the one you have to stop.
Isn't that for what maybe McTominay or Fred to do that job next to Pogba? Isn't the problem we've got at the moment, Neil, also the balance in the midfield, the fact that we play Fred and McTominay, there's not enough going forward, there's not enough creativity or decisiveness in the middle of the park to play those through balls to Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, etc., because we're playing two holding midfielders. So shouldn't it be that we should be engineering someone of the ilk of Fred and McTominay next to a Pogba or Van de Beek? Should that not be what we should be looking at, or for you is it that?
I think he'll play two holding midfielders. So I think Fred and McTominay, if fit and available, I would assume that they would start. He'll go back to I'd like Van de Beek. I'm a huge fan. I was screaming about getting him in the summer. And I think he showed in the Southampton game, and he showed enough in the games that we don't really, and I've said this, I would have Van de Beek above Pogba because he does more when he hasn't got the ball. He's really, really, really does track back and works hard, Van de Beek. And against City, every single player's got to be bang on it. Because if we start the way we've started some of these games, never mind being 2 down at Southampton, we could be out of sight. We could be 3-4 down against City the way they've been banging the goals in. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think Pogba plays in that system because he just doesn't work harder. He might be great to come off the bench if we're still in the game, and then Ole decides to go for it. But I have a feeling that Ole would be more than happy with just a draw at the moment because he's getting pelters off, rightly so. But he's not very good at going for the draw, but he'd probably take it. But City, for me, look like favourites for the Premier League, the way they're playing.
I haven't had a great start to the season, though. So
I haven't had a great start to the season, but
Kevin De Bruyne couldn't lace Bruno Fernandes's boots at the moment.
Yeah, well, they got Aguero to come back, and he's a great shot.
Washed up. Come on, Neil. Yeah. Talk a bit more negatively about the.
I'm just looking at it honestly, and you look at that side. United are a very talented squad, but he doesn't know his best 11. He doesn't seem to know his best 11 at the moment. And we all three of us now, if you said, right, you got 5 minutes to write down your starting 11, none of us would have. We'd all have different setups. But personally, we need an industrious 11 to have a chance. I mean, hope Cavani's fit because he'll work. He'll graft off the front. He works very hard. And I was probably against getting Cavani, so I've got to hold my hands up and say I think I've got that one wrong. But we're going to have to work. We need the industry of a Cavani, McTominay will throw in there. That's what we need on Saturday. We can't afford passengers.
What do you think, Natalie? Does Paul Pogba start for you?
For me, I think he does. I see what's been said, and I do agree. And I think, for me, I think the comments sort of a part of the reason maybe why he didn't start, because the Twitter was against him. And I'm not saying, just because of that, but you can't be coming out and saying the things that he said and the way his agent, I know he didn't say it directly, but you can't do that, not before a big game. And, but for me, I think we need to realise, though, fans that are sort of anti him because of those comments, we need to realise that it's not the Fergie days where, you would just throw someone like that in the reserves and it won't matter because we have, world-class players and everyone's grafting for each other. I think we need Pogba. And I think, these last 2 games have really shown what a difference he can be when he's on form, when he's linking up with Bruno, when he wants to play. And I feel like now he does sort of want to play, and it sounds, we're waiting on him to say when he wants to. But yeah, he's in form. I'd play your in-form players. I'd definitely put someone like Fred alongside him and let Fred do the dirty work. But I think we need Pogba just to unlock Bruno, unlock, say, Rashford, if Cavani's playing, that game changed last night, and Pogba was part of the reason why it did. And I think for me, I just wouldn't go defensive. I think he might, not going to lie, I think he might go with two holding and, just hope that City don't get 3 or 4. But I just go for it. Just, because that's what we want to see as United fans. This is, we watch attacking football day, year on year. And I don't want to just see us, let's hope, and then get to 60th minute, bring Pogba on and try and save it for us. No, I want to see a good, solid, Man United performance, attacking football from the off. And, let's go for City, because I'm with you, Ben. I don't think they're that good. Obviously, they are a brilliant side, but I don't think, they're going to be winning the league. I think potentially they're going to be with us trying to get 4th. So I think, it's there for the taking. Let's go out, let's attack, and let's get 3-0 up ourselves, maybe. Who knows? But I'm quietly confident, but I'd start Pogba 100%.
Do you know what? I was thinking earlier on today, with the way the Premier League's going at the moment, I believe that I think the table will end. I think Liverpool will probably nick it. I think Spurs have got more than enough to finish in the top 3. Same with Chelsea. I pick up points. Oh, sorry, I lost you then. Am I back?
Yeah,
I'm back. Pick up points. So I fully expect there to be a top 3 of Liverpool, Spurs, and Chelsea. And then I think City are the team in pole position for 4th place this season. I think by this weekend we will see how far off the top 4 we actually are. I think the top 5 are going to be about maybe 15, 20 points away from then the bottom 15 in the table. I think there's going to be a big gap between the 2 this year. Between 5th place and 6th place. But I think United need to really show up this weekend, because it would tell us whether we can jump into that top 4 or not. And I think City are there for the taking. I really, really do. Just a point there on Pogba, Natalie. You say about all the things that he can bring to this team alongside a Fred or a McTominay. For you, what is that big difference? What is the big difference that Pogba makes when he's in the side?
He's a class player. He can find, thread the ball through the eye of a needle. I mean, when he came on, he was, running, energy, beating players, crossing them in the box. I think his passing is fantastic, but it's when he wants to. It's not something we see all the time. It's when he wants to turn up and play, which I think Man City, we really do see it. At the Etihad a couple of years back, we saw it. He wanted to play that game and he outplayed the whole team. So I think when you get a Pogba like that, and I think we've seen it West Ham, we've seen it last night, we've got a Pogba on form now, and I think that's the Pogba I want to see. Yeah, he's made his comments, but I want to see him playing his best football, and I think starting versus City with Bruno in front of him, alongside, Fred, I think is our best player, defensive midfield, next to Matic and McTominay, but I'd play Fred. I think we missed him last night, and then just go for it. Just go all out United way. And, that way the fans, I don't think, would be as upset. If you saw, a lineup like that, you'd think, yes, we're going for it. And then if, for example, then they did go out and score, you can say, well, at least, we played our best team and we
Also,
lost.
Natalie, on that, just quickly, sorry to butt in, but on that as well, we were talking at the start of the show. I made the joke about 4-4-2. Every player in that squad knows their position, whether they're playing right midfield or right back or centre midfield or up front. Like, every player knows what to do when they're in that role within a formation. I feel like Ollie needs to do the same, and then the onus is on Paul Pogba. So if Paul Pogba starts in the middle of the park with Fred, he needs to know what is required of him in that position. So then it's down to Paul Pogba to deliver on all fronts, whether that's going forward or coming back defensively as well. So I think you're completely right. Play your best team, play your best players, and put the onus on those to show up. And yeah, look at that. Buggy Vibes agrees. Solid start. Well said, Natalie. IK says we'll play counter-attacking again on Saturday, but then we'll concede first and all tactics will be thrown out the window. We really don't have different styles of play, or we're really not good at it, as in changing it up. Worldwide Red Show says he will set up defensively and look to counter. We were good against them last year, so I don't think he will change his tactics against them. Yeah, but the problem is last year he played the three at the back, didn't he? If I remember right, he played a 3-5-2 against them in both games, and also in the Carling Cup or whatever. And yes, we've won games against them, but recently when we played that 3-5-2, we've looked awful. And Greenwood and Rashford, by the way, I love them individually when they play, but they do not work as a front two. They hinder the team when they play together as a front two because no one can hold the ball up, and they don't work well together. They're both hungry goal scorers. And we saw that a couple of times with chances. They think about going for goal themselves instead of setting each other up. And that isn't good when you've got gilt-edged chances that you need to score. Jacob says, Natalie's spot on. When Pogba wants to impress, he does. Sometimes he just jogs around and it doesn't help at all. In 18-19, he walked more per 90 than any other midfielder in the league. I mean, I've never seen a stat like that, but fair enough. Bringing it out. Was Pogba only good last night? Stuart, thank you for joining us, mate. Was Pogba only good last night because he played only 30 minutes? Well, who knows? But all I can say is back-to-back, we've had two consistently good performances from Paul Pogba. So if he's ready to go, he's willing to prove why he wants to play for this club and wear his heart on his sleeve for this club, he starts against City. Because, again, we go into every argument about Paul Pogba, all of us, with the phrase, he's one of the best midfielders when it comes to quality in world football. Well, go and frigging show it, Paul. And do it in front of the bloody noisy neighbours, will you? I'll tell you. Because we need it. You shut the bubble merchants up. Now go shut them up. Right. Let's move on. The second point I want to hit on and talk about, and guys, get back in the live chat as well, is about the need to go into this game positive. Look, Neil, in the league, we're actually not on a bad run of form at all. So we should take some positivity from that. Obviously, we're at home. Our home form's worse than our away form, unfortunately, but still. What do you make of us going into this game? Do you think there's going to be a dark cloud over us because of the two incidents this week, the riot, the comments, and also going out the Champions League?
Yeah, I think the Champions League is going to take a bit of getting over. This is where the coaching staff are going to earn the corn this week, isn't it? Hopefully, they can motivate. I mean, they shouldn't need motivation to play against City. Shouldn't need motivation to play against anybody, for God's sake, the amount of money they're on. Let's see. I mean, I'd give them a couple of days off and just because we look fit enough and all that. I've just got my fears because if this goes wrong, look, they've got to sort out. They've got to sort out the Pogba Raiola thing. I mean, he's vermin. He's Raiola. I mean, Jesus, put me in a room with him. But then Pogba needs to come out and make a statement. But I'm fed up of this. It's like every 6 months with him. We get something else. Then he never comes out and slags as a pop at his agent. And then he'll do a quote in a newspaper in France or Germany or somewhere else will pop up. I mean, he's on 350 grand a week. He should be demanding to play in these games. He should be running the show. He should be winning Player of the Season awards. He's not even close to the talent. He's going to be. If he does leave, he's going to leave as a disappointment in my eyes, considering the talent he's got. I keep banging on about him, but it's just. Yeah,
but Neil, I think people need to remember, like a lot of Manchester United fans, and I'm not saying that this is just you and sort of feel sorry for Neil type thing, but you have got red in your blood, red in your heart. You've watched Pogba come through the youth ranks, and you watched him since he first came to the club. You know his talent, know his promise. You were so disappointed when he first left the club, and we've had this conversation many a times. Your hate and not hate, but anger for this situation around Paul Pogba and everything that's happening with him at United isn't based around an agenda. It's based around the fact that you rate him so highly and want him to achieve so badly.
Yeah, he's got an unbelievable amount of talent. You know, I've just said I worry about De Bruyne. Do you think the City fans are worried about Pogba at the moment?
Bruno.
No, but, you know, I don't think they are, and that's not right. Pogba should be thinking they should be worried about me. Never mind De Bruyne, they should be worried about me, because when I walk onto that pitch, I can strut onto that pitch and I can do my stuff because I've got more talent than probably any player in the Premier League. He can do the lot. We've seen him do it. He just does nothing. Absolute jack when he hasn't got the ball, and that's my problem with him on Saturday. Can we afford to carry him? And like Natalie said, Fred does all the work for him, but can Fred do that for 90 minutes against City's midfield? That's a big ask. That's a big ask. At least Van der Beek will work when he hasn't got the ball.
Yeah, it is true. Natalie, let me come over to you, just hitting back onto positivity. Obviously, dark clouds over us. How do the players then, Neil saying there that they should be motivated, but as a fan, how do we bring some positivity ahead of the game this weekend to cheer the players up, to get them ready for such a big derby game?
Yeah, I think just sort of saying, you know, it's a derby. Anything can happen. Doesn't matter who's in form, who's what. You know, we've seen it in the past. We've been towards the bottom and they've been flying at the top, and we've stopped the celebrations for them. You know, I think I just want to touch on a bit of the Pogba, and I don't want to go back, but I read before in a comment he's probably putting himself in the shop window. He's angling for a move. Everyone, for me, is talking about Bruno. That's who I think every City fans will be scared of. But if you've got Pogba playing like this, I just play him. And I think, to be fair, Pogba, you've got to say, if we're talking about positives, obviously not the comments, but the way that he's performing, that is a positive. So I think the way he's performed the last two games, obviously, yes, we went out, but, you know, you can look at that as a positive. I think Bruno, the stats with him compared to De Bruyne is out of this world. So I think he's a positive. Cavani's positive. Fred, for me, is a positive. The way that when he first came, we never thought we'd see this player, and he's playing absolutely quality. I think everyone's talking about negative because we've just been knocked out. But I think if you look at the form actually in the league, it's like something like we've set a record 8 in a row. Yeah, it's away from home. But, you know, there is that positive. We can come back no matter what. Like, we've been 2-0 down. We nearly came back after 3. I think there are positives there. And I think, you know, it's hard to say, but fans need to see them. It's easier said than done, but know that for me, I think this is one of the best times that we've had. You know, like I said, setting these records. Doesn't feel like it at all, but, you know, it feels like potentially there could be something around the corner big, and getting back to the Man United that we know and love, hopefully. Who knows?
I completely agree with that. And some of the points you made, I've agreed with as well. I've actually put down 5 reasons to be positive here, guys. So to check these out, right? Number 1, we've hit on it. I think Paul Pogba is in, and I know we're only looking at snippets here, really, but the best form he has actually been in after seeing him in the last 2 games that we've seen for a good couple of years, actually, maybe even going back to the start. It's just watch him on the pitch. He's taking up better positions. He's linking up play better. He looks on it. He looks strong. And like we're saying earlier on about him doing his job, the way he gets hold of the ball and holds it up to bring others around him into play was something he lacked completely at the start of the season. Maybe we've seen that he's built himself back up physically after COVID, where he just was struggling, and he admitted that he was struggling, to now where he is in great condition to be able to play these games and do his job properly for us to see the best of Pogba. So my first biggest positive is the fact that Pogba is back into some kind of form. My second positive is the fact that Bruno Fernandes is the best player in the world, and no one can tell me otherwise. City fans and the players are shitting themselves over playing against Bruno Fernandes this weekend. He is the most majestic footballer on the planet at the moment, and I friggin' love him. And whenever we start a match with Bruno Fernandes in our team, we've got a fighting chance. He is that good. Thirdly, when you have a look at our games, if you take away obviously the games recently this season, last season, we had happier times against City. We also had happier times against bigger clubs in the Premier League. So I am fully expecting the players to be able to get themselves up for this game. And also, let's not forget, Ollie loves bouncing back. Whenever we think he's done, whenever we think he's gone, he brings out a result from nowhere. Guys, we're beating City 6-0. My fourth positive point that I want to make is look at the Premier League table. We're a point ahead of City right now. Going into that game, we could, if we win, be 4 points ahead of them, and we've been shite this season. If that's not something to be positive about, I don't know what is. We could end up top 4, and we could be 4 points ahead of City if we beat them on Saturday. Now, I know that's an if, but that is a reason to go in this game and attack it to try and get a positive result. And that can only be deemed as a positive point. And I can't remember my fifth positive point, but that was it. At least we're still in a European competition. We're going to walk away with a European trophy at the end of the season. Boom. There we go. City aren't winning a European trophy this year. Who cares if it's the Europa League? It's silverware at the end of the day. And we can all have a couple of drinks once we've all been vaccinated up and celebrate it. Done. Positive points done. Let's go into it with a happy head and a happy heart. Finally, I want to hit on one last point in this preview, and we'll get through this quickly before we go to predictions. And that is around the impact of having no Derby Day crowds. Neil, you're not a stranger to a Derby Day. It's just a different atmosphere, isn't it, when you're in the crowd for a derby?
Brilliant. Derby days away from home are the best. But Derby Day, it's just amazing. I mean, I'll tell you a small story. My nephew, his first ever game at Old Trafford was the Michael Owen game. And he used to think that's the best, probably the best day of his life, and he's only 16. And he went to that game. First ever game he went to at Old Trafford, his dad took him. And you can't explain it. It's just amazing. And I think we suffer just as more than most because we've got the biggest stadium. And we would need the fans. I think we are missing the fans, particularly you can tell. I mean, look, our home form's abysmal, but our away form is just spectacular. So all the home teams are getting affected by the fans. The Derby Day is just brilliant. From the moment you get up, just go to Lou Macari's chip shop, and that's the start of the day for me. That is.
Natalie, what about you? You're not a stranger to a Derby Day. You gutted that you're not going to be there cheering the lads on?
Devastated. I mean, I live now around the corner from Old Trafford, so it would be, get up, go into the pub, have maybe a breakfast, a fry up, and then go, have a few drinks, have a few sing-songs. And I just think the atmosphere is just 10 times better when it's a derby, when it's a big game like Man City. I think, we would have gone out, but I think it would have been still rocking Old Trafford. And it's disappointing that, we can't even have the 2,000 fans. I think the fans at the West Ham game, I think really, to be honest, they galvanised our players, and I think it's a different game when there's fans there because it adds that atmosphere. It's something to play for, it might fit. I've had someone describe it as a training ground game to me, without fans. So I think it's sad that the boys have gone from playing with fans to without. I wish, some of us could be there, singing songs, getting behind the boys, geeing them up. Not that you need geeing up, but, it's that excitement, like I said, when it is a derby day, and no matter what happens, that you do feel like anything can happen when you are in that ground cheering them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Neil, we mentioned about needing some positive energy. Do you think, usually after a week that we've just had, going and playing a big game at home, the fans would be more than up for it. The atmosphere would be electric. So do you think not having fans there could hinder us actually?
I think it's been. I think it will, and I think it's been proven it's hindered us in our home games this season because we've got no support, and there's the intimidation factor. I mean, that stadium when it's full and it's loud, God, it's the best place in the world. It's amazing, and we haven't got that. And sometimes they do drag the team along because all the fans inside the stadium want that team to win and do everything they can. And I think we have suffered. So it'd be quite interesting Saturday in terms of how we react.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. And final thoughts, Nasty, let me come over to you. Maybe sticking with the fact that we haven't got a crowd, but then also your thoughts on how you think the game's gonna play out. Where are United going to win and lose this game on Saturday?
Midfield, 100%, because I think no matter, I think play that ball forward, that attack, they won't be able to handle it. So I think if we can dominate that midfield. I think that's where we'll win it. I think whoever wins the midfield battles will win it. And then obviously, the magic man, you said his name, Bruno Fernandes, if he's on fire the way we know he can, the way he can change games, I worry for them. But just hopefully, we get that midfield strong and right, and we'll see a good performance from the boys and 3 points.
100%, 3 points. And Neil, where do United win and lose this game this weekend?
I think I'd say the midfield, but I think the spine of the team has to be really strong this week, because that's where City can be dangerous. But it's also where we can get at them. So I'm not too sure their centre halves are great, but the spine of the team stays really strong from goalkeeper all the way through. I'd be tempted to put Cavani on the bench and play him in the second half like they did at Southampton, and get the young lads on and stretch them in the first half, and then bring Cavani on. I think he's going to be that sort of impact player for us. I think we'll win. I think we have to win. I genuinely think we have to win, because I think it could be disastrous if we don't. I worry about the effects of us but I always want us to win. I've never been one of these, can't stand these fans, if we lose, that means. I think we'll win, and I think if we got to score first. We have to score first. But I think we'll win 2-0.
Nice. Well, there we go. I was going to say first goal scorer and score prediction. So we're going 2-0 nil. Who's going to score first?
Rashford. And Nassi, what about you?
2-1 United, Bruno.
Cool. I'm sticking with who I always say. Mason Greenwood, Manchester Derby, steps up, scores a belter. Robin Van Persie-esque, as we say with every goal he seems to score. It's always the outcry, isn't it? Whenever he scores goals, it's so like Robin Van Persie. And I'm actually going to go for a 3-1 United. And again, we'll go 1-0 down, because we always do. We're the comeback kings, of course we are. It's Oddie's army. Guys, what I want you to do is hit the like on this video quickly. I want you to make sure you subscribe to the channel, share the video as well. We're going to get out of here now. Come on, United. Let's look forward to getting 3 points in the Manchester Derby this weekend. Let's forget about the shambles of last night, Tuesday night, depending on when you're watching this, and let's move forward with a positive outlook, and hopefully with a win against City. Look, the Premier League's wide open. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but we've got as good a chance as anyone with the way that this season has started. So let's go into this game extremely positive and look forward to watching the lads play, and hopefully Ollie and the coaching staff and the team can conjure up something from minute 1 and not minute 46 against City, because I do agree with Neil. If we go at this game from the 46th minute, we could have already lost it by then. Similar to like we did against Leipzig, because the game was sort of out of our hands. But fingers crossed, whatever happens, the team can put out that win and get the 3 points in the bag. Hit like, subscribe. We're going to put our teams, by the way, in the comments below, so check those out after the stream. And whichever team you like the look of the most, just hit that like button. But obviously, we don't know injury news as of yet. Anyway, we are getting out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take it easy. Hit that subscribe button. Ciao for now. Oh, over here. Ciao for now.